was a long chain of small happenstances which started with my meeting a Kenyan priest called Father Joe at a youth Christian conference in UK in 2006. And then we kept in touch when he went back to Kenya back to his diocese in Meru. I discovered that he'd been sent to a parish called St. Peter's in, I think it was about 2006. And shortly after he went to that parish, he started a very small school called St. Peter's Primary School, because very early on he realized that there was a large population of young children, orphaned, impoverished or vulnerable, who were not going to receive the benefit of a primary education. So completely off his own bat, he started this small primary school, raising money here and there. And his first class was 40 kids of all ages, all in one class, and that was the start of St. Peter's Primary School. After the school was started, in late 2008 and into 2009, I started receiving messages of distress from Father Joe because the crops had failed for the third time in a row, and that's over 18 months, which is disastrous in that area where his parish is, which is semi-arid and a very, very harsh environment for people to live. And he contacted me by text saying that he was going to have to close his school because he couldn't afford to feed the children. So I started sending irregular ad hoc amounts of money to him through the MoneyGram scheme, of which my daughter soon got wind of. And when she saw it, she said, "Come on, Dad, we can do this properly. Let's start a charity." And that was how St. Peter's Lifeline was founded in late 2009. And we called it St. Peter's Lifeline because we literally at that stage threw a lifeline to this small nascent school which was beginning to emerge.
When I came here back in 2010 in March, 1st of March for that matter, I found Father Joe here when working alone, and I joined him. We started working hard since this environment of working is so hard.
And in August 2011, tragedy struck because Father Joe was killed in a road traffic accident. And that was absolutely calamitous for that community, because Father Joe was a very charismatic, visionary man. And most of the people in his parish, those going to his school, thought that the school would close and the whole thing would collapse. Father Franklin was Father Joe's assistant priest at that time, and luckily had been there about a year, so he knew what was going on most of the time.
I could find David coming. They couldn't talk many things, but as an associate pastor, I couldn't know exactly what was going on, but I knew him as our supporter until Father Joe left us on that sad Thursday of 18th August, that is 2011. That's when I realized what was happening. David looked for me, and he caught me, and he came himself to explain to me what he was doing, and this is the time I got the introduction of St. Peter's Lifeline.
But it was a very, very difficult period because Father Franklin was a young, inexperienced priest who needed a lot of encouragement from us and a lot of other people to keep the vision going.
After that, now we continued working together, connecting, and that transition was terrible because I didn't know what to do being young in the ministry because I was in my second year of priesthood. So I didn't have much experience of even running a parish. And when the bishop told me that I was to take over from Father Joe, it was a shock, and I was so hesitant until the bishop said that now he commands me to do it. And from that time we have really journeyed with David, who has been receiving support from St. Peter's Lifeline friends and those who are helping him to come and help us. And really we have moved. I can say we have really moved with the help of God, of course, through the Friends of St. Peter's Lifeline.
So now, in 2014, we have grown to 3 schools, all under the umbrella of the St. Peter's Parish. There's St. Peter's itself, that first little school that started, which is now about 360 pupils, and there's another school about 7 miles away called Our Lady of Consolation at a slightly more affluent town of Katwana. They're now over 200. And then there's the small nursery school called the Sacred Heart at a very, very poor community called Ntambara of about 40 kids. Our core mission, we thought, was going to be the schools, and we were very happy dealing with that and providing for those schools, building classrooms, an ablutions block, paying teachers' fees, buying food in times of drought, as I'm talking now at present. We're supplementing our funding to pay for food for the children.
It's very, very challenging when it comes to food, because for the last, I think, 2 seasons we have not harvested. So food is a big problem.
Not long after we started going to Kajuki, I met a lady called Veronica, who told me that she had been working in the Diocese of Meru for a large American charity that had been running a program, a successful program within the diocese to combat female genital mutilation, FGM.
Before David came, we had started it with the Catholic Diocese in 2007. It was out of concern because the illiteracy in women was leading to the poverty around. And one of the biggest cause of the illiteracy was noticed that it was the FGM, the female circumcision.
She told me that that program was now coming to a halt. And I asked her if the problem still existed, and she said most certainly in the area where we were working in Kajuki.
It is done here from the age of 12, around 12 to 15. That is when they do the end of primary education certificate. When they do it, immediately after that December, they are circumcised. Circumcision here means maturity, growth. You are a woman now. Most of them do not go to secondary school. If they don't go to secondary school, primary education is basic, so they cannot get employment. That is very little education even to empower them, even to do a business. They cannot do much on themselves. So that was the concern of the Catholic Diocese then. So,
by the grace of God, we decided to take that project on and to diversify our charitable assistance.
So they started now educating the community that you do not have to get the cut to be a woman, to be a grown woman.
So that program has been running for over 3 years now, actually for over 4 years, and it's a very well structured program in which Veronica confidently predicts that FGM will be eliminated from Tharaka-Nithi, the area we're working in, within 2 or 3 years, which is tremendous. And it's a very well structured, comprehensive educational program done by and for the community. We were then made aware by one of our trustees of a thing called microfinance, which is something I don't think I'd really heard of. And this is a scheme started by the Grameen Bank scheme, started by a chap called Professor Yunus, over 30 years ago in Bangladesh. And he realized with loaning women small amounts of money within a structured organization that they could raise their families out of poverty within a period of 5 years if they applied themselves successfully to that business. So once again we took a leap of faith and branched out into the microfinance assistance. And so now we have over 330 women who have been given loans and who are successfully running businesses, with over 400, maybe nearly 500 women who are also engaged in a savings, an associated savings scheme. So again we're seeing the fruits of the microfinance scheme. Microfinance is a classic sustainable activity once that enough capital is being put into it and once the running costs can be covered. We're still dealing with that. We're undertaking to provide the running costs for 3 years for the microfinance scheme. But once we've done that, we're confident that that scheme will be sustainable within its own right. So on the education, we don't see any particular end date in mind, because we foresee in an area like this where there is extreme poverty that there will always be the need to care for the orphans, the vulnerable and the impoverished families and children.
If people are educated, they'll be able to support themselves, they'll be able to have good jobs. Like we have some people within this locality who have gone to school, and we see them having better lives. So if education can be promoted in this place, it can be a good asset for this community, and that's why we are so committed with the St. Peter's School, where we have many children from very poor families who are supported by St. Peter's Lifeline. Some of them are so bright, and this is the priority of St. Peter's Lifeline, where they help very poor children who are very bright so that they come up and give back to the community.
As I said, we're a relational charity, and we know the people. And certainly the parents, the pupils, the teachers, the staff at all the schools know us, and I know a lot of them. We know a lot of them by name. The young women in the FGM program know who we are, because we visit the villages when the FGM program is running. And certainly the microfinance ladies know who we are, because we have a lot of action with them, particularly when I went to their first annual general meeting in November 2013. The great majority was there, and they know who we are.
So David really means a lot to this community, and he has always journeyed with us, even when things were very tough. So really, through the St. Peter's Lifeline, he has really caused a lot of change to this community. And really, we feel that without him, we don't know how the situation would have been, because he is the one who intervened when I didn't even know what I was to do. I was so green, and he has really supported me to be what I am in this community as a pastor, and also supporting St. Peter's School, which is the heart of this community.
I really think we're a big family, and what we're really pleased about is that when we first started out, I had this warm, fuzzy, cuddly feeling that we were going to be dealing with nice little kids, smiling and cheering us and all the rest of it, and that is the case. But now we're covering all the generations, the young women who we're trying to persuade to avoid circumcision, right through to the older women in the microfinance scheme. And I feel we're now beginning to really serve the whole community, rather than just the narrow focus on young children at a primary school. There are many ways that people can help us, but I think the principal way is to give us donations by cash, either with a regular standing order every month to fund our Transforming Lives children who are at the primary school. These are the orphans and the impoverished, who we fully fund their education and their feeding, to funding a scholar at secondary school, paying for their fees, their clothing, their books and their feeding as well, or by whatever donation you like to give at whatever time.
I want to sincerely appreciate the help you have always sent to us. We have no words to express how grateful we are. We only remember you in our prayers, and we are sure that God will continue extending the panorama of your earning and your income, so that you have more to support yourself and also to support us when this need is there, like now.
Really, it's been such a great pleasure and a privilege and a joy, and it's such a rewarding activity to be involved in this sort of work in this country that, you know, has been in my heart, actually. And what I'm always telling them is that although we can give them a lot, and we do give them a lot in terms of their infrastructure and their support for their kids and their community, is that they can always give their love and prayers back to us. And that, of course, is very precious to us, because we're a charity built on prayer. And so we know that they can play their part big time by giving us back their love and prayers and remembering us all the time.